Hi, I'm 44phantom, and I'm hanging out with Rob on Front Row Live.
I really love the fact that you've been independently getting so much traction, like on your previous releases. Like, talk to me about that build up and what's that's been like for you to kind of get the traction that other artists would get if they had like a major backing, but you're doing it independently.
Thank you, man. That means a lot. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I definitely wouldn't say I'm like anywhere close to level I'm gonna be at like at all. But I will say it's dope because you get told for so long like you kind of can't just put music out there and shit. It won't work. So obviously we market it and everything, but at the same time I think it kind of goes to show that like just make good music and the audience will find you. And that I think is like a really like important thing, especially in today's age with everybody trying to have like a TikTok hit and shit. I don't use TikTok. I never like tried. I never had a song pop off on TikTok. I haven't done anything on TikTok. And so I think like it's kind of dope just to kind of come up off the music. I think that's what's happening. It's just kind of dope. But thank you, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Like, and it's cool. Like, everything's organic for you. Not to say that TikTok isn't organic, but like, I feel like a lot of the music discovery, at least for me, like, I've been discovering so much music this last year through TikTok because songs are like popping off like that. But for you, it's been like a lot of like the social media or a lot of like the digital downloads where it's like Spotify and stuff like that. So how are you able to kind of focus on, the writing process, the creative process, the release process, and then like that promotion process as well when you're doing this all yourself?
Yeah, it can be a lot sometimes, like trying to finish 3 demos. We're gonna have a record coming out and trying to like promo that and then be like, yeah, I'll do a live video to it and stuff. So that can be kind of a little much at times. But um, yeah, I mean, I guess the main thing marketing wise is just making sure that like the right people hear the song. I don't really expect like 60-year-old women from like Michigan to want to listen to my music, but yeah, I would say it's really just like really trying to engage with the people that listen to my music and support me, um, and just like trying to keep like an open dialogue with them too, um, just about like how they feel about stuff. I like to get like I'm like a hoe for reactions. Like people like read like telling me how they feel about shit, good or bad. And so I kind of just try and keep really open with that, and then just not move my release dates, which I didn't used to be great at. That's a big part. Don't keep delaying songs.
Why an EP and not go all the way for the album?
Because my first album, I want to be a completely studio produced, like fully. Because
Okay.
I mixed everything, like on the project and everything, like sound off, all those. I think there's one song I didn't mix on there. But yeah, I want it to be like, for me, it's an EP because it's kind of like, yo, this is what I have in my bedroom with my like 1, 2 producers I work with. It's kind of like it's to me, it's more of a teaser for what the album could be, is going to be, if that makes sense. And it's really just kind of showing people, I guess, like who I am as an artist and like the direction I want to go in, which is a bunch of different directions. But yeah, it's just really trying to like kind of I after this project, hopefully, I think that if people were to do similar shit, people would be like, it sounds like 44 Phantom. And I don't think I've been able to be at that point before this.
That's a statement. That's dope.
I hope
That's
so.
dope. That's dope. So what exactly is 44 Phantom? Like, what is your sound all about? And like, how did you come to the realization of like, this is who I am, this is the kind of music I'm gonna create?
um, man, I think for the longest time, like especially when I first started, like I felt like I was I came up rapping and I love rapping, but I never wanted to be a rapper. And I know like I hate people saying that because they'll like put like they'll basically make rap songs and be like, oh, I don't want to be considered a rapper. But like I think this is like the like I finally just kind of made music I wanted to make, and it came out like dope. because there's a lot of people that'll like, or I mean, even like me, I've had situations where, you know, I was like, before I was so on like a specific sound or whatever, and then like I just get bored with it. And I'd be like, oh, I want to make something like different. And because I hadn't really like worked on that at all, like maybe those songs weren't up to the level I wanted them to be at. But this was the first time really where like me and my producer like locked in when we did it. I like made sure the vocals are good on everything. There's not like a part where I'm like, oh, well, you know, that's kind of iffy. It's like it's finally like what goes on in my head, but like in a project. And I think that's like really important.
As far as like your producers, what, how did Jonathan Kilmer and Matthew Hernandez kind of help you make this sound the way that you wanted it to be, and like what kind of challenges did you feel you faced throughout the tracks?
Um, I would say so. Kilmer is super important to just like this. The sounds kind of happened. He's kind of like he was the first producer I ever worked with, like in studio or anything. And this was like over a year ago when I started like going out to LA and stuff. Um, and so me and him really just been like have just been developing, you know, a lot of our songs. Like a lot of the songs, like even if it's not a rock song, it has like rock elements because Kilmer has like a rock background, and he always wanted to be like a rock producer, and he finally got to like do that when me and him really started working. Um, and then Matt, my homie Matt, is just like a sick ass guitarist, crazy on bass. He has this crazy bass line in the song I have on the project, and he kills it. Um, but I would say it's really just me and Kilmer kind of figured out like this. All the songs are different, but we did kind of really figure out how to make shit big, if that makes sense, on this project, like in heavy. And like that's like the direction we really went, is it's pretty heavy. Um and then uh yeah, I mean just kind of working with him like every day when I'd go out to LA, and then he's about to move down here to Nashville. And so it'll be locked back in again for the next one. Um but yeah, and then challenges that we faced. Uh Man, I would say just really like we don't really have an engineer or anything to figure shit out for us. So I mean, thankfully he can mix beats pretty well, and I'm a decent I'm decent at vocal mixing. Um, but yeah, I mean, challenges is just having to really figure it out ourselves, which is, you know, both good and bad. Because at the same time, it's like there was nobody, like all the ideas that are on there are ours, you know, good or bad, if that's for the betterment or for the worse of it. Um, but yeah, I mean, just doing it ourselves really.
It's cool that you mentioned this was all like done in your bedroom, because like you're right, this sound like a full record, like they sound big. And you know, how were you able to do that without having like that major like studio and that major studio equipment as well, like with you?
Man, I honestly, I just loved this shit so much, or love this shit so much, that like when I first started making music, like I've just been watching mixing videos every day for like 3 years. Like I don't even like mixing. I just like didn't. I'm not cool with my records not sounding at least good when they come out. And so, and I'm also a big like I've had some engineers try and work on shit, and it's just like I'm not like objectively like they were not good, and it's just like to a point where I was like I'm just gonna do it myself. And so, yeah, it's just really just like kind of like developing my ear for like mixing and just everything that goes into that. And then I mean, yeah, it's professionally mastered, thank God. But uh, I mean, if you have shitty mixes, it's gonna turn out to a shitty master. So yeah, man, just fucking YouTube videos mixed with the masters, the waves one, uh, watching like engineers like Manny Manny. I can't think of his last name. Manny M. I can't think of his last name. I'm stupid. But his mixing, and then yeah, I can't think of anybody's name right now. Tony something, crazy, but yeah, I mean, just honestly, just working, basically.
That's dope. Like, talk to me a little bit about Sound Off, which is like the recent single right now, and like the creative process with this song in particular. What really kickstarted the writing process for the song? And you know, as you're continuing to work on this body of work, like how do you feel your songwriting kind of evolved throughout the process?
Dope. Okay, so for Sound Off, my homie Bass, who's done like a lot of stuff like Skies and like a lot of people just kind of in that area. He had sent me this a couple beats, And at first I couldn't catch anything to them, but I was like, these are dope, so I'm gonna bookmark them. And like came back to it like a couple weeks later, and I heard it, and I came up with like the verse melody, but it was like an octave lower. And I was like, ah, it's just missing something. It's missing something. And I think I got up to like go to the bathroom or something, and I was just like, I didn't mean to call, you'll never bow, shit. And I was like, oh, that's dope. Like I should like go put that down. And I honestly think I wrote the song in like 45 minutes. Cut it, and then just I was like, ah, this is cool. Maybe some. I did with me. It sucks because I'll make like I'll like be super stoked on a song and then make it and be like, I have no clue if this is any type of good or if I'm gonna send this to someone and be like, they're gonna be like, what is this? And so, thankfully, I sent it and they were like, oh, this is super hard. This should be like the single. And I was like, all right, dope. And so I think that song came out like a month after I made it, actually.
That's a quick turnaround.
Yeah, it's the last one I made on the project. Actually, I think it was the first one to come out. It's funny how that works.
Wow.
And then my writing, I would say, evolved just from the point of I really like figured out like what I wanted to say, because there was a lot of songs I think before this where the lyrics are cool and I say some cool shit, but I don't know how it builds into the overarching narrative. I'm a sucker for narratives in a song. It doesn't have to be a Bob Dylan ass storytelling song. You can write a dope pop song and still tell a cool story, even if it's loosely. But yeah, I would say this time I really feel like I really dialed in narratives. Every song is a pretty complete idea, which I think is a really important thing, especially writing wise.
As far as like these narratives, like when do you find that identity of each song as you're writing it? Like, does it vary within each song, or do you already know like the identity right when you start, putting the or putting the pen down and like writing it down?
For me, I work a lot of shit. Like I said, I came up like I've been freestyle rapping since I was like 7 years old. So
Yeah.
like in terms of like I usually just like I'll go through I almost every song I freestyle like the first like 2 or 3 lines of the hook. This was the first thing I said like when I came up with the melody. And so usually like it'll accidentally be something cool. Like with Sound Off, it was the da da da, and then my brother came in the room and I was just sitting there like over and over and over and like doing it until I came up with like the Sound Off idea. And then it's all for me. Like I like to take like really like relatable examples like of everything somebody might go through, like, oh, you're in a toxic relationship, oh, you're calling somebody you don't want to do, but then take like a different angle at it. Like angles are what the really important thing is. Who am I in this? What am I trying to say? What is this person or what is this situation going on? And how can I tie that back in? Especially like through the verses, I think like a really dope thing to do, like a really dope hook to me is something that makes sense as the beginning of the song, the middle of the song, and the end of the song. And so if it makes complete sense in context of all three of those spots, you got a dope narrative.
I feel like you've been doing this for some time, but at the same time, I feel like just like you mentioned, like always on YouTube trying to figure out the mixing and mastering side or aspect of it. Like I feel like you kind of self-taught yourself everything else as well. So like in saying that, like vocally, your vocals are incredible and your range, I'm sure, is even more incredible. But like, how did you learn to sing and emote the way that you do with your music?
Making a lot of bad songs until they got good. To be honest with you, shit. Yeah, I think that was actually I'm happy people like my voice because my like the scariest shit. Because like that's like that in my opinion, unless you're like Adele or something, like that's kind of like can be the scariest part because it's kind of like if people don't like your voice, like you, like you can say all the dope shit you want. If it sounds bad, nobody gives a shit. So it I mean, I like to listen to a lot of my shit objectively, like even on like the new project, like there's stuff I'm like, oh, I wish that was better. And I'm gonna make sure on the next project that is better. Like I'm gonna make sure this note hits stronger in my voice and stuff. And just really like I'm a big like I love listening to music and like I was literally just jamming out to Adele in the shower yesterday for like 45 minutes. And because like especially with singing, I feel like a lot of people only like unless you're like just a naturally super crazy gifted singer, like a lot of people though they only like sing their own shit and that holds you back so much because then you're only learning what you're doing. I like to sing songs there's no possible way I could sing about 40 times because then it might sound kind of okay, but then when I go back to my shit, which is less vocal intensive, it's like way easier. And so I basically just did that for like 2 years until I got to where I could sing a little bit. And then in terms of emotion, I think it was just really like a lot of times, like I know a lot of people have the habit of like they'll write something down and then you're really just reading it the whole time and doing it. I try and like when I'm making a song, every song to me is like a setting. Like Sound Off to me was like some 80s like neon disco shit, and I was just like in this like basically like the what's it called in Get Out, where he sinks back into the shit. It was kind of like that, but like a sick ass like 80s vibe. And so I just kind of went there in my mind, and I was like, how would I sing if I was there? And that's kind of how I do it on like every song. So if it's like a big super heavy song, I'm probably somewhere with a bunch of bombs going off or some shit, and I'm like, so how the would I sing if there was a bunch of bombs going off behind me? And so it's kind of just like I feel like really trying to make the vocal style match what the song is saying in the instrumental.
I feel like when you finally go into like an actual studio to produce your stuff or record your stuff, I feel like the walls are gonna be like cinema screens and like all this shit's gonna be like actually playing while you're like recording.
That's actually a great idea. Holy shit.
Because I envisioned that the whole time you were telling me this right now.
Dude, that could be actually really sick. I'm not even joking. When I have like a ridiculous amount of money, just get like way too many TVs in like a studio or some shit. Dude, that could actually be really dope. That's a good idea. I'm gonna steal that.
That should happen for sure. Now, going back to like you kind of training yourself with artists like Adele and like trying to hit those ranges that, you know, are difficult for you to hit. When you go back to your music, and as you mentioned, it's like easier for your music, but like when you go back to your music to write, do you consider those ranges now when you're writing new material? Or is it like, you know, for sure you're not even gonna try?
No, that auto-tune's a great thing. I'll try that shit, but it don't work. But no, yeah, I mean, I'm like literally like Adele is one of like my favorite artists like ever. Like her writing is ridiculous. And yeah, just like the way like a lot of shit like will kind of just like accidentally inspire you. And so you might hear like, never mind, I'll find someone like you. And then on the next like song or whatever, I'll like randomly kind of like it unintentionally kind of like you said, yeah, just kind of break into that like part of my voice. And I'll be like, oh shit, like dope. I can do that now, I guess. Like I have this song called, I'm gonna say the title, I don't give a shit. I have a song called Whatever You Want on my project that is like, I think the hook is probably the highest note I have on a hook. It's pretty, yeah, it's pretty up there. Yeah, and that is like deaf. Some like in my head that was deaf. Some like if Adele was mad and was a dude and couldn't sing as well.
In saying that, because yeah, that song in particular stuck out to me. Sound Off and Whatever You Want are the two that kind of stick out to me. But like in saying that, do you feel like that was the most difficult song for you to record on this EP?
Honestly, no. It's easier for me to sing in my higher range than it can be harder like in my lower. Like on a song I have called Gray, like it's not like that wasn't like hard by any means, but like tone wise, it can kind of be like a little difficult at times to like keep like solid consistency and tone at like this part of my voice. Yeah, because I'm so used to singing like up here, and so when I come back down, it's kind of like having like get back like to that. But yeah, it's getting better, I think. I hope so anyway.
Well, dude, like this entire EP is solid. Like I've been listening to it this morning, and like it's legit, dude. Like I'm definitely a new fan of yours. So like I'm really excited to hear what else you have going on, and I'm more excited for others to kind of get to know you and get to listen to your music. And I'm sure once this EP drops, there's going to be labels like coming after you because your style is legit, like, and it's something fresh too at the same time.
Thank you, bro. Thank you. Yeah, I'm glad you say it's fresh because like that was like I like trap, but like how many more trap songs are gonna come out with the same? It's all the same shit. Like just take the 808 and be happy, okay? But yeah, and I would definitely credit a lot of my shit having kind of a like fresh, different sound to Kilmer too. Us just really making shit together, kind of because like you get to a point where like you'll get kind of so locked into a point you're not like we're never really making something to sound like something. Like very occasionally we'll have like sonic references to a song, and it'll only ever be to like one specific part. Like, oh, I kind of want the guitar to sit like that. But he might do a like a the Killers type early 2000s rock line, and I'll do a Justin Bieber ass pop melody over it, and like it sounds good. So we're like, cool. But yeah, I mean, I kind of think it's just a combination of our weird ass brains.
Like I said, I love what you're doing. So if this is what you're making just in a bedroom, I can only imagine like what it's going to sound like when you actually have a studio and actually making that magic happen. So congratulations with this new EP, dude. And like definitely excited for more music from you.
Thank you.